You know, I work with a lot of young people, middle-aged people, older people, a wide variety of people. But you know, I know a lot of young people and even a lot of older people. You know, they're very proud about where they come from. They are very happy and very enthusiastic because they come from, you know, these certain environments. And I always ask people, especially young people, you know, why do you rep your hood? Why do you rep your hood? And I really don't ever get any answers. And if I do get an answer, it's not necessarily the most healthy answers. You know, I rep my hood because, you know, this is where most of my family, this is where they died at. Or, you know, this is where I got on at. You know, because my hood loves me. Really? Your hood loves you? And I like to challenge people. And it's not that, you know, I'm bashing any community that anybody comes from. And it's not that I forgot about where I came from. You know, kids like to ask me, where you come from, Mr. Shawn, where you from? And I really don't like to answer that question because, you know, I'm a spiritual person. So, you know, I believe that we all from a spiritual realm. You know, we're born here. So I answer the question, I was born in the north side. I was raised in Stanton Heights because really I don't have any solidarity with the environments that I come from. I don't necessarily have much solidarity with most of the environments in Pittsburgh. And again, not to bash Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh is a very small-minded thinking place. A lot of people don't think outside of this environment. To give you an example of just some of the small-mindedness in Pittsburgh, and this is an example of other communities, other places around the world. I know, you know, Pittsburgh is not special in that way. You know, we are a microcosm of, you know, some of the world at large. But I remember, you know, I played basketball for Peabody High School, right? And, you know, Peabody, you know, had mostly kids coming from Garfield, Highland Park. You know, it wasn't the greatest high school in the world. And there was a lot of kids there who were from lower income communities. And I remember we had just got done playing a team from Homewood, another low income area, another community of poverty. And we beat them by 1 point. It was a great game, you know. And after the game, one of my teammates said, "Hey, Shawn, I'm going on vacation this weekend." And I was like, "Oh, okay, you know, where you going?" Because, you know, my family took a lot of vacations. And he said, I'm going to the north side. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, like, is he going to North Philly, North Chicago, you know, north side in Atlanta? You know, he was like, nah, I'm going to the north side. This dude thought that going from Garfield to the north side was a vacation. That's 5 miles. That's 5 miles. I'm looking in his eyes and I'm seeing that he's serious. He thinks going from the north side going from Garfield to the north side is a vacation. You know, and that's just you know, some of the thinking, you know, that, you know, really permeates Pittsburgh. It's that a lot of kids, unfortunately, don't travel. Families don't really take them anywhere. Every week, you know, in some of the groups I run, and I'll ask, you know, how many of y'all have been outside of Pittsburgh? A couple of people raise their hand. How many of y'all have been outside the state? Almost nobody raised their hand. How many of you have been outside the country? Very rarely does anybody raise their hand. It's very powerful for you to start getting your families outside of their environment to increase their circumference. I was talking to one of the black millionaires of Pittsburgh, you know, and he was saying that he's built buildings and structures all around the world, you know, and I was telling him about, you know, my complaints, you know, and I was just grousing to him about, you know, how small-minded Pittsburgh is. And he was using construction to explain the same thing I was saying. He said, you know, when I built places in DC, when I built places in even North Hills, which is right outside of Pittsburgh, he said, when you go to a place like DC or even Baltimore or North Hills, he said there's a lot of highways going in them. You can get in it and you can come out. He said the energy can come in freely and go out freely. He said the way Pittsburgh is structured, there's not too many ways to come in and go out. So all the energy gets trapped inside. And I said, wow, that is really creative. That's amazing. He used construction to explain a spiritual sense. how energy gets trapped literally inside of a city. You know, because I was telling them that, you know, it's like Pittsburgh has an invisible fence. So get your family, travel, show them other things, show them how other people live, and it'll broaden their horizons. And it's not that I forgot where I came from. You know, as I say in my first book, you know, many people will try to tell you that you forgot where you came from, but it's those same people that have forgotten where they wanted to go. I have not forgot where I came from. I'm very aware about where I was born at, but I haven't forgot about where I want to go. And Pittsburgh is a very small-minded thinking place. But back to my initial inquiry and concern about, you know, why do you rep your hood? Why would I rep a place that has killed my friends, my family, put people on drugs? Why would I rep a place where we are consistently at the bottom of the barrel in some of the things that we need the most? We need to be more educated. You know, we need to be represented in more areas, more career fields that exist. We're not. Why am I proud to come from a place that is not producing a large amount of successful people or more successful people each generation? Why am I happy to come from a place like that? Why am I proud to come from a place like that? I'm not necessarily saying that other communities don't have their issues, they don't have their problems, and that they're any better than us. But why am I proud to come from a place that is the bottom of the barrel? I don't like being the world's garbage can. I don't like being a world's garbage can. And sometimes, you know, being a black male, African American male, coming from the communities that we do, we are the world's garbage can. And I'm not necessarily being prejudiced or trying to pervade any negative racial comments, but this is what it is. This is what it is. Why am I proud to come from a place like this? You know, we pray a lot in our community and in many communities, not just our own. We pray a lot and we talk a lot, but we don't do a lot. You know, I believe that, I believe that smart decisions bring prayer to fruition. Smart decisions bring prayer to fruition. So you can't just pray. You cannot just pray. You know, you've heard it before. It's not the first time you've heard it. You have to do something. Smart decisions bring prayer to fruition. And many of us, and again, not just in our community, but many of us do not take any accountability for our contribution to our problems. We want to blame other people. I remember being a kid, and it hit me whenever I became an adult. I was a very aggressive, raging, impulsive, violent kid, and sometimes in my house, definitely at school and definitely in the community. And every time my dad would come and pick me up from a fight I got in or getting suspended from school, he pulled me to the side and he pulled me in the car one day and said, "Shawn, do you realize that every time I come and pick you up and ask you what happened, you always blame somebody else? It's always somebody else's fault, And that was true. He did this, or he did that, and he did this first. I was always blaming somebody else, never really taking accountability for my contribution to the problem, to my problem. And many of us don't do that. And a lot of adults preach it to kids and don't do it as adults. We got to start taking more accountability for our contribution to our own problems. I understand that, parents are not at fault for all of their kids' downfalls, but I also understand that many of a kid's problems started before they were conceived. The parents were making bad decisions before the child was conceived. The child was conceived, parents continue to make poor decisions, the child's born, and the kid is just caught up in a continual cycle of unhealthy decision making. And this cycle perpetuates. This cycle perpetuates. We need to take accountability for our contribution to the problem. I know that they say it takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to destroy one. These are some of the things that we need to think about as a black community, as a black community that is part of a larger community, it's part of a global community. And one of the first steps in fixing our problems and continuing to get where we need to get to, and we are getting there. I'm not one of these people who believe that we are stagnant and that we're not getting anywhere. We're definitely getting somewhere. But we must take accountability for our contribution to our problems. That's one of the first steps in fixing our problems, is taking accountability for what is my contribution to this issue. What is my contribution to my problem? You know, Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see, and I am a fan of that. That's one of my favorite quotes, but I believe that Gandhi jumped the gun a little bit, because before you get something that you want, there's some things that you need to do. So I believe, and my saying is, be the change that you need to be. Because before you become the change that you want to see, you got to first become the change that you need to be. Take it to money. A lot of us, we want to be multi-millionaires, billionaires. In order for us to get to that level, there's some things that we need to do first. There's some things that we need to do first. And most people get their wants met and they leave their needs wanting. Say that one more time. Most people get their wants met and leave their needs wanting. Don't do that. Don't get your wants met and leave your needs wanting. Get your needs met, and you can get anything that you want. Hey, thank you so much for kicking it with me and PerspectVe LLC. Make sure that you go to our website, www.perspective.com, and pick up some of our products. That's www.perspectve.com. And the reason why we take the I out of perspective is that sometimes to broaden your own horizons, you got to take yourself out of your own perspective. This is the inspiration. 10 ingredients for success. This is it. Improved thinking. 300 of the most amazing quotes of the next generation. Take care.